Hi, I'm David Stallings, the Director of Arts and Culture at the 14th Street Y in the East Village of Manhattan, and welcome to our Wednesday Artists Insight. The Arts and Culture team decided this week we would be reading some of our favorite poems, and I'm going to be doing 3 sonnets by William Shakespeare because I adore them. So sit back and enjoy our Facebook Live Poetry Slam.
Hi, my name is Chrissy Wright. I am the production manager at the 14th Street Y, and I have chosen to share a poem called Pandemic by Lynn Ungar. It was written in the early days of us dealing with COVID-19. What if you thought of it as the Jews consider the Sabbath, the most sacred of times? Cease from travel, cease from buying and selling, give up, just for now, on trying to make the world different than it is. Sing, pray, touch only those to whom you commit your life. Center down. And when your body has become still, reach out with your heart. Know that we are connected in ways that are terrifying and beautiful. You could hardly deny it now. Know that our lives are in one another's hands. Surely that has come clear. Do not reach out with your hands. Reach out with your heart. Reach out with your words. Reach out with all the tendrils of compassion that move invisibly where we cannot touch. Promise this world your love, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, as long as we all shall live.
And finally, Sonnet 141. In faith, I do not love thee with mine eyes, for they in thee 1,000 errors note. But 'tis my heart that loves what they despise, who in despite of you is pleased to dote. Nor are mine ears with thy tongue's tune delighted, nor tender feeling to base touches prone, nor taste nor smell desire to be invited to any sensual feast with thee alone. But my 5 wits, nor my 5 senses can dissuade one foolish heart from serving thee, who leaves unswayed the likeness of a man, thy proud heart slave and vassal wretch to be. Only my plague? Thus far I count my gain, that she that makes me sin awards me pain. It's a little dirty.
Hi, David. I'm sorry I played that out of order. I thought these were numbered, but they apparently, those numbers that I saw mean nothing. So
Yeah, that was hysterical to start with 141,
Yeah.
which is a little dirty. It's a little dirty.
It is. It is. It's yeah.
Why don't we start, Chrissy, with why did you choose that beautiful poem to share with everyone today?
I chose that poem because I believe I came across it on Facebook the day that we decided to shut the theater down. And I said, wow, that is a really remarkable way to try to approach the coming weeks. I think that we all knew it was going to get worse before it got better, but we had no idea how much worse it was actually going to get. And I thought, wow, this is a really interesting way to try to handle the next few weeks of my life.
I also think it's interesting that we're at a Jewish community center, and the notion of Shabbat and what that means within a context, and is really remarkable about taking a breath and about each other's hearts and having that downtime in a certain sense. I mean, it's obviously different because the show goes on,
Yeah.
but I think it really captures in a very beautiful way some of the needs that she was anticipating, and also sort of how we can look at things in a way that provides some sense of calm in a crisis.
Mm-hmm.
It was also beautiful because I feel in this moment, a lot of people are reaching out with their hands, and to ask them to reach out with their heart is what a lot of us need. I think
Yeah.
a lot of people are just reacting and trying to prove productivity or trying to just shout to the world that they're still here. And
Hmm.
I think the more we just take a deep breath and love with our hearts, that's really deep.
Yeah, and I also think that there was something very great about the spirit of togetherness that it ends with, and that, you know, we are all in this together, and we're only going to get through it together.
The sonnets, what I love about the sonnets is how honest they are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that he's not writing these beautiful love poems where he's honoring someone's beauty. Like he's saying, oh, we all look like real human beings, and I love you for other reasons.
Mm-hmm.
There's a sense of realism and almost a jaded quality to Shakespeare's sonnets, which is probably why I have been drawn to them. But I read all the sonnets a couple of like last week.
Mm-hmm.
Just sat with them and just read them from sonnet 1 all the way through, like, I guess 150. Forgive me if I don't remember exactly how many there are, but you know, they certainly tell a story, and I just found it beautiful to read poems about love that aren't putting love on a pedestal.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the sonnets are a really great introduction to talking about Shakespeare. Is you know, there's the school of thought that, oh, Shakespeare is pretentious, when really, you know, Shakespeare is not pretentious. People reading Shakespeare are pretentious. And so I think the sonnets are, you know, because there is this element of reality to them, that it's like, no, actually, this was, you know, a guy who was writing for people.
100%. Should we move on to some more poems, Chrissy? You want to line us up?
Let's move on.
Hello, my name is Laura Beatrix Newmark, and I'm the director of LAVA, the executive producer of the Jew Night Show, and the culture producer at the 14th Street Y. And the poem I'm going to read is called Ithaca by C.P. Cavafy, and it's translated by Edmund Keeley. As you set out for Ithaca, hope your road is a long one, full of adventure, full of discovery, Lystragonians, Cyclops, angry Poseidon. Don't be afraid of them. You'll never find things like that on your way, as long as you keep your thoughts raised high, as long as a rare excitement stirs your spirit and your body. Lystragonians, Cyclops, wild Poseidon, you won't encounter them unless you bring them along inside your soul, unless your soul sets them up in front of you. Hope your road is a long one. May there be many summer mornings when with what pleasure, what joy, you enter harbors you're seeing for the first time. May you stop at Phoenician trading stations to buy fine things, mother of pearl and coral, amber and ebony, sensual perfume of every kind, as many sensual perfumes as you can. And may you visit many Egyptian cities to learn and go on learning from their scholars. Keep Ithaca always in your mind. Arriving there is what you're destined for, but don't hurry the journey at all. Better if it lasts for years. So you're old by the time you reach the island, wealthy with all you've gained on the way, not expecting Ithaca to make you rich. Ithaca gave you the marvelous journey. Without her, you wouldn't have set out. She has nothing left to give you now. And if you find her poor, Ithaca won't have fooled you. Wise as you will have become, so full of experience, you'll have understood by then what these Ithacas mean. Thank you. Hello, my name is Laura Beatrix Newmark.
Sorry, I forgot to change settings on that one. I'm going to read a second poem. This was submitted by Ophir Tal, our Shiliak. It's called A Thought of the Stars by Mary Gardner Hosforth. I remember once, when a careless child, I played on the mossy lea. The stars looked forth the shadowy west, and I stole to my mother's knee. With a handful of stemless violets, wet with the drops of gathering dew, and asked of the wonderful points of lights that shone in the distant blue. She told me of numberless worlds that rolled through the measureless depths above, created by infinite might and power, supported by infinite love. She told of a faith that she called divine, of a fairer and happier home, of hope unsullied by grief or fear, and a loftier life to come. She told of seraphs on wings of light that floated from star to star, and were sometimes sent on a mission high to a brighted orb afar. And with childish sense I forgot the worlds she had pointed out on high, and deemed each wonderful beam of light the glance of an angel's eye. And when she knelt with her babes in prayer, I know each petition now, I saw the gleam of those wings of light, light beautiful on her brow. Years passed, and in earliest youth I knelt by my mother's dying bed. The lips were mute that had spoken love, and the eyes' bright glance had fled. And when I turned from that silent room, where the last word was spoken, the shadow of death o'er my spirit lay, and I thought that my heart was broken. I sought the hush of the midnight air, and wept till the founts were dry. The earth was clad in a wintry garb, but the star host filled the sky. And then I remembered the faith divine, and the loftier life to come, and felt the shadow of death depart from my childhood's sacred home. And often now, when my heart is faint, with earth and its wearying care, when my soul is sick with feverish thirst and burdened with contrite prayer, I hasten forth the starry gems that circle the brow of night, and track with them the eloquent depths of boundless infinite. They whisper low of a holier life, and a faith sublime and high, and I fancy each golden beam the glance of a seraph's eye. As in days of yore, when a careless child, I stole to my mother's knee, and asked the wondrous points of light that shone over deep blue sea.
Hello, my name is Laura Beatrix Newmark, and I'm the...
Hi, Laura.
Sorry.
Wanting to show that Ithaca poem over and over again, Christy. It's a great poem, Laura. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what drew you to it?
Well, it's interesting. I was thinking and hearing it, reading it again and thinking about it. Number one, before I got on this broadcast, I put on some perfume, which I haven't done in, I think, a month. A little bit of it, but for some reason it felt good to put it on. And I was thinking there were a few things, particularly in that poem, that resonate right now. The notion of knowledge. We can get knowledge sitting in a seat from a lot of different places. We don't need to go somewhere to get knowledge. The senses, we can feel our senses, putting some perfume on, having a smell, having a taste, having something like that I think we can also do. And the journey. And our journey is in the journey we're going through right now. We're living in a pandemic that, previous generations never experienced. We're dealing with a lot of different things, and the journey is that. Previously, I've loved it when friends are going on journeys, when they're stuck. I think it gives you a sense of awe, and that the world, there's something big about the world, and there's things about the world that are in the minutia and in the grandiose are really quite remarkable, and to keep those always in mind no matter where we are.
No.
And then I love the idea of being inspired, that line about the perfume popped within the poem. And so it makes total sense to me that it resonated for you even recently, because I know you've known this poem for a while, but there are those things, like for many of us, poems are things we come back to, and they have a different meaning when we come back to them. I'm sure that perfume moment had a different meaning before the pandemic than it has for you today. And Chrissy, your cat was doing some amazing things while you were out there.
The black one or the little one?
The black one.
Okay. For all of you watching at home, his name is Stiv.
Stiv. Oh my
Yes.
goodness. That's amazing. And thank you, Ophir, for sharing that poem with us. Ophir does a great job at the 14th Street Y and is part of our department. So a shout out to him.
So let's move on to section number 3.
More poems.
Okay.
The first sonnet I'm reading is Sonnet 116. A lot of you will recognize this. It is my favorite sonnet and has been for a very long time. Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love which alters when it alteration finds, nor bends with the remover to remove. Oh no, it is an ever-fixed mark that looks on tempests and is never shaken. It is a star to every wandering bark whose worth's unknown, though his height be taken. Love is not time's fool, though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks, but bears it out even to the edge of doom. If this be error and upon me be proved, I never writ, nor no man ever loved.
Hi, I'm Lilith Batchelder from the Arts and Culture Department at the 14th Street Y, and today I will be reading Mutability by Percy Shelley. We are as clouds that veil the midnight moon, how restlessly they speed and gleam and quiver, streaking the darkness radiantly. Yet soon night closes round, and they are lost forever. Or like forgotten lyres, whose dissonant strings give various response to each varying blast, to whose frail frame no second motion brings one mood or modulation like the last. We rest. A dream has power to poison sleep. We rise. One wandering thought pollutes the day. We feel, conceive or reason, laugh or weep, embrace fond woe or cast our cares away. It is the same. For be it joy or sorrow, the path of its departure still is free. Man's yesterday may ne'er be like his morrow, naught may endure but mutability.
Sonnet 130. My mistress' eyes are nothing like the sun. Coral is far more red than her lips red. If snow be white, why then her breasts are dun. If hairs be wires, black wires grow on her head. I have seen roses damasked red and white, but no such roses see I in her cheeks. And in some perfumes is there more delight than in the breath that from my mistress reeks. I love to hear her speak, yet well I know that music hath a far more pleasing sound. I grant I never saw a goddess go. My mistress, when she walks, treads on the ground. And yet, by heaven, I think my love as rare as any she belied with false compare.
Yay!
Yay!
Hey.
Oh, this is the first time that I've actually paid any attention to the poems as a whole. I sort of looked them over as we passed them around, but I didn't ever think to sit down and just read all of them and think about whether or not they related. And it's interesting to see that there are a lot of things that seem to be resonating with them. And, the perfumes and the radiant lights and the stars and the things that we're all, looking for evidence of hope, it seems.
I agree. Go ahead.
No, you.
I was thinking that there were sort of 4 things that came up: love, strength, power, and hope. Mm-hmm. And when I think about power, it's not about over others, power of ourselves, and the power we manifest in the world. And I think, I think there are a lot of themes right now of finding where we are and being able to see beyond it, and also taking comfort in where we are and how we're connecting.
Mm-hmm.
Big shout out to Lilith, who is our box office manager and manages all of our front of house staff. You know, like Chrissy, I think, brought up, closing the theater was hard. It was definitely the decision that we made, I think, at the perfect time. But, you know, it's always hard to darken our lights and darken our theater. So when Lilith actually came up with this idea to share some of our favorite poems, I think we all just jumped on it. So Lilith, thank you for that. And I loved the Shelley. I loved the mutability. I mean, I think it's resonating. You know, we all feel a little bit muted right now, and rather than put on rose-colored glasses, see reality for what it is, and still love it, and still put our heart into it. I think you know, what our heart is doing resonated with me with all of the poems today as well.
Yeah.
And David, you were saying with the notion of love and seeing the real person, I think that is, all of us are dealing with that right now. There's nothing covering us. We're unfiltered. We're real. You know, we're getting on Zoom calls, and people are intermittently showering, showing up at different times, wearing the same clothes for 3 weeks. I mean, you know, the way we present ourselves has changed in a way that we're seeing where we are at the earnest core of who we are, and loving each other for that, and the sense of community that we are finding in ways we hadn't anticipated.
Yeah, I mean, some of us look grainy. Freeze in awkward moments. Wi-Fi is not perfect. Nothing's perfect. Putting these expectations of perfection on ourselves now is too much. You know, like one of our fellow staff members said, I need it to look perfect. I need this video to look perfect. And I was like, why? You're not in a studio. You know, Chrissy's running an in-house studio, and people freeze. I just froze now, I think.
And that spoke to the mutability too, literally and figuratively. I mean, on and off all the time. I feel like that's the new normal right now.
I do think it's rather amusing that, you know, I often feel like, particularly with us as a department, you know, we're very connected, and we end up doing things like all showing up in similar outfits on the same day. And it's like, well, you know, of course we do stuff like this. We all are in our offices together for 40 hours and sometimes 60 hours a week. You know, this makes sense. And so for us to be all, you know, physically so distant and be like, oh yeah, we're all still on the same page about that. That's great. Is pretty amusing and comforting in a lot of ways.
My favorite is when we wear the same nail polish. Those are my favorite days. Shout out to Rebecca Miller and her blue nail polish. Rebecca Miller is our amazing theater manager. We just are always inspired by her color choices.
Yes. All right. Well, I had a lot of fun with that. I hope you guys did too. I hope everyone watching this from home had a good time also. And yeah, you know, it's not perfect, and we'll get through this somehow. So thanks everybody for watching. Oh, my hand's not even in the screen.